Hello there. Welcome to the Saroy channel, wherever you are in the world, and so much love to each and every one of you. How are you doing? I'm doing a lot better, thank you very much. So as you know, tonight we're on the second part of the story. The first part we listened to on Sunday night. If you haven't heard it, then click on the description so that you know exactly where we are in the story. So let's continue with the story because it gets very exciting as we move on to the Bigfoot encounter. So let's get started, shall we? Oh my word, it's you, Evan. You gave me a scare. Have you had a horrible nightmare or something? Evan shakes his head and trembles. I'm sorry, Aunt Evie. I wet the bed. Please don't be angry with me, he begs. I didn't mean to do it. I'm really, really sorry. Don't be silly, Evan. Why would I be angry about that? You've just had an accident, that's all. It's easily fixed. I tell you what, I'll change your bed sheet, shall I? Why don't you go and run yourself a bath? I'll bring you a brand new T-shirt to wear. How about that? If you like, you can put on some bubbles in the bath to make it all lovely and fluffy. My favourite is the lavender breeze. You just need a tablespoon in the water. You do know how to run a bath, don't you? Of course, Aunt Evie. I'm 8. I can do lots of things. As I put on the washing machine, piling in Evan's bed sheets, I ponder over Evan's feeble, abject reaction to wetting the bed. I couldn't believe how terrified he looked. That is very disturbing. The boy seems almost traumatized, but I guess my sister Roberta possibly blows a fuse with him every time he wets his bed. But more to the point, why is he wetting his bed in the first place? He should have grown out of it by now. Something is clearly upsetting and distressing Evan. But what? I have a sneaking suspicion the blame lies at my sister's door. I'll have to have stiff words with her, I decide. It's one thing for her to be putting an adult down, but humiliating her son at such a young, tender age is likely to cause serious emotional harm to him in the long term. I stand in the doorway of Evan's bedroom, with a cup of hot chocolate in my hands. He doesn't know that I'm standing there watching him, and what I'm seeing is so shocking that I nearly lose control of the hot chocolate that I'm holding in my hands. I discern Evan has a towel wrapped around his middle after his bath. His back is facing away from me. He's putting on his long T-shirt, but his back is covered in large bruises, as if he's been physically beaten up. I quickly turn away, gasping at the horrific sight. What do I do about that, I think? Once Evan has his T-shirt on, I act nonchalant, as if I've only just come into his bedroom. I know my nephew would be mortified if he knew I'd seen the bruises on his back. I brought you a mug of hot chocolate, I tell Evan, placing it gently on the glass protector on his side table next to his bed. I pull back the sheets and help Evan climb back into bed. He sinks back gratefully into the dry sheets. I bend over to kiss him on the forehead, not caring about the painful spasms that are twitching on my back. I leave the bedside light on for him, so he can easily access the mug of hot chocolate that I've sprinkled generously with marshmallows as a special treat. Night-night, Evan, I say. You sleep tight. Don't let the bugs bite. Night-night, Aunt Evie. Thank you, Aunt Evie. Aunt Evie? Yes? I love you. I love you too, Evan. Good night. Good night. I surreptitiously return to my bedroom, tiptoeing down the passage, trying to be as quiet as I possibly can. But sleep eludes me that night, as now all that assiduously consumes me is the thought of those ghastly, gruesome black bruises on Evans's back. Where did they come from? Who is responsible for unleashing their dreadful wrath on this poor vulnerable child? No wonder he's wetting the bed. I would be too if someone were beating up on me like that. I have an instinctive, intransigent feeling that my sister is the likely offender. But do I report child abuse when my sister is the abuser, especially without any real evidence? You can't just randomly spout accusations against someone without having real proof. I decide I need to have words with my sister, warn her that if she lays another finger on Evan, I'll be reporting her forthwith to the authorities. When my sister arrives at my front door the following evening to pick up Evan, I can see he's reluctant to leave with her. It dawns on me that he's afraid of his own mother. I haven't even noticed this before, but now it's as clear as a bell to me. It's all I can do not to snatch Evan away from my sister, bustling him back to the safety and confines of my own apartment. But then again, Evan is not my child. "I need to have a private word with you, Roberta," I say to my sister. "It's very, very important. It can't wait." My sister frowns. She looks irritated. "Really, Evie? Why can't it wait? I'm in a dreadful hurry. It's an hour's drive back to the farmhouse. I've still got to cook dinner when I get back." "Can it not wait, please? I'm so tired. Unlike some people, I've had a really tough day. I haven't been lying on the couch, watching movies, eating popcorn and sleeping at will like you have." "I need a word now," I say to Roberta, my voice raising its frequency, so much so that Roberta realises I mean business. "All right, Evie, but you must be quick." Roberta walks unsteadily into my kitchen. Her high heels clip-clop loudly on the white marble flooring. I notice she looks more dishevelled than usual, as some mascara has leaked down her left eye, and her perfect hair is looking a little tousled. She lets out an aggravated sigh, leaning against the sides of the granite island, looking at me through monacious eyes. I realise how intimidating she must look to an 8-year-old boy. It's like her pugnacious expression is challenging even me to dare say anything that might just ruffle her feathers, so I tread cautiously with my words. But I know this issue needs addressing, and I'll try my level best to be as diplomatic as possible in the circumstances. "I'm worried about Evans," I say. "He's covered in the most dreadful black bruises all over his back. I noticed them last night when I lent him a T-shirt to wear, as he had no pyjamas. He didn't know I saw the frightful condition of his back. Someone has been hitting him very hard. It's not you, is it, Roberta? You wouldn't be hitting your own son, would you? Because if I see any more marks on him, I'm going to have to be forced to tell the authorities. I can't sit back and watch my nephew being abused. You do understand that, don't you?" My sister's face colours. Her golden skin grows a bright crimson. Her jaw tightens. Her chest stiffens. "How dare you suggest I would hurt my baby?" she says defensively. "I would never lay a finger on Evans. You know I wouldn't. If he's got bruises, it must have been due to falling in the school playground or something. You don't have kids, so you wouldn't understand. But I assure you, boys get into all kinds of scrapes. Now I need to go," she demands. She marches obstreperously out of my apartment, banging her high heels extra loudly in the corridors to express her level of indignation. She's holding her son's hands tightly in hers. I watch them both leave. My sister glances briefly back at me. I discern a disquieted, anguished look in her eyes. I chastise myself for being contentiously confrontational with my sister. I mean, what am I like? No wonder she's so flustered and reacted so adversely. No one likes to be falsely accused of something they never did, do they? Of course she'd never physically abuse her own son. Maybe Evan did hurt himself in the school playground after all. Little boys are always getting into scrapes, are they not? What was I thinking? Granted, she has a sharp tongue on her, rather like a razor blade, and she can be a big bully. But I'm sure she'd never lay a finger on my nephew, would she? But somewhere deep in my gut, I sense I'm deceiving myself, as the truth just does not bear thinking about. It's easier to believe the best in my sister than to ever conceive of her bullying or subjugating my poor nephew. But in the depths of my heart, I really sense my sister is the offender. The truth will come to light very shortly. It seems my predictions are bang on the money. 2 weeks go by without so much as a word from my sister. She's never been this quiet before. If I didn't know any better, I would think she was deliberately avoiding me, although I do get regular calls from Evan, telling me what he's doing and saying he misses me a lot, which is very sweet of him to say, as I'm quite sure back at the farmhouse, surrounded by the delights of the natural world, there are 1,000 more exciting things to be done, rather than hanging around in the apartment with me. It's on a Friday night that I wake up with a start. There's a loud, urgent hammering at my front door. I audibly groan. Who could be waking me up at this ungodly hour of the night? I sit up. The pain in my joints is fierce and unrelentingly vicious, but I need to sail over that pain to get to the door. My doorbell ringing is louder than ever, regularly interspersed with loud knocks. Someone seems hell-bent on getting my attention. But who? I stumble out of bed awkwardly, almost shrieking out internally as the painful spasms dart around my body. I grab my dressing gown, tying it around my middle, throwing my feet into my slip-on slippers. Finally, heaving and groaning in agony, I open the door as draughts of cold air pummel my face. It's my sister Roberta standing in the doorway. Her face is distraught. "What's wrong, Roberta?" I ask, sensing something quite terrible has happened by the frightened look on my sister's face. "Evans, he's gone," she whispers. "He's gone." My hands clasp my mouth in astonishment. "What do you mean, Evans has gone?" I ask. "Evan ran away from me tonight. I think he's hiding out in the woodgrove. I can't find him anywhere. Suppose something has hurt him. There's all kinds of wild animals in there. He's in danger, sis. What am I going to do?" "Well, did you call the police?" "Are you kidding? Those bruises you saw on Evan's back. I did them, sis. I didn't mean to, of course. Sometimes he just makes me mad. If I call the police, they'll lock me up for child abuse and take my son away from me. I know if you call him in the woodgrove, he'll come to you. I've been calling him for ages, but he won't respond to me. But I'm sure he's there. I really need your help. You need to come at once." "So Evan ran away because you hit him? Is that what you're telling me?" "He was goading me," my sister explained. "He was going on and on about being hungry. I had a tough day at work. I threw the sandwiches he made at the wall because he made such a mess. I might have lashed out at him, I can't remember, but he makes me so mad at times. You don't know how tough it is to raise a kid. And you think you may have hit him, but it happened so much you're not sure if you did or didn't. Is that what you're telling me?" I asked, looking at my sister aghast. "He's an 8-year-old child, for goodness sake. You don't lash out at a kid like that. No wonder he ran away." Before I know it, I've thrown on a pair of jeans, sweatshirt and sneakers and dashed down to my sister's vehicle, with my thoughts only on finding Evans. I was so concerned about my nephew that I barely noticed my own pain, as my sister drives in silence towards her farmhouse, an hour's drive out of Seattle. "What about Rob? Where is he? Isn't he supposed to help you look for Evan?" "We're not together anymore," my sister admits. "Like all the men that ever date me, he's also left me. Same old story. He tells me I'm a bitch. Can you believe that? What a bloody cheek. And after everything I've done for him." Yes, I can believe it, I think to myself. I can believe he calls you a bitch. But I say nothing. Only I do try and encourage my sister to call the police. But she's having none of that. "No, we can't call the police. No." "I know that Evan, he will come if you call him, sis. He's not going to respond to me. I've upset him this evening. But I know if he hears your voice, he'll come running. He loves you for some reason. God only knows why." I ignore my sister's scathing comments, and I ask her how long he's been missing. Since about 8 o'clock this evening." "But it's 12 o'clock already." It's about 1:10 in the morning when we finally arrive at the farmhouse. And before I know it, I've a headlamp on my head, and I'm following my sister on the edge of her farmhouse, beyond her boundary wall, to a hiking trail that leads into a large, sumptuous woodland sanctuary that's open to the public for walking dogs or riding horses. Evan has told me a lot about this gorgeous place before. He tells me it's his favourite private oasis. It would make perfect sense if he was hiding out here somewhere, to escape the wrath of his mother. But Roberta is absolutely right. For a young 8-year-old boy to be hiding out in the woodgrove at night, it could potentially be highly dangerous for him. He would almost certainly be easy pickings for a coyote or mountain lion. I shudder at this thought, trying to focus my attention on the job at hand. I need to find my nephew, and I need to find him now. "I know he's in here," she tells me. "He adores these woods. But I've been calling him for hours now. There's no response. Well, perhaps it's better if I go alone," I suggest. "If you've upset Evan tonight, he might not come to your calls." "Oh, thank you, sis. I'm so grateful for this. It's my thoughts exactly. You don't mind going alone, do you?" She puts a rifle in my hands for protection. "No thanks," I say, passing the rifle back to her. "I'll be fine on my own." My sister watches me as I amble into the woodgrove. It's amazing how my earnest concern for my nephew's welfare has enabled me to ride over my pain, like a mountain bike over a hilly incline. I'm now so concerned for his well-being that I can think of little else. I decide to myself that if I cannot find Evan, regardless what my sister has to say about this matter, I will be calling the police. Furthermore, something needs to be done about my sister's physical abuse towards her son. Now I know about it, I simply cannot turn a blind eye to it. If it wasn't for my sister's outbursts, Evan would not have run away from home and be put in this danger in the first place. I hold my sister responsible for what has happened, and can only hope that my nephew is all right. I notice that as I venture into this woodland sanctuary, it gets darker and darker, as the moonlight is blotted out by the closely packed tall and skinny trees, rising up proudly into the sky on this dark, tenebrous night, like vertical sultry giants. I find when I stick to the trail, I am befriended by the soft moonlight that generously trickles through the canopy, lighting up the way with an ethereal softness that is almost ghost-like and outer-worldly in its luminescence. But it beckons me kindly, as if leading and guiding the way, and encouraging me to hasten my pace. The cool breeze is feisty and rambunctious. It throttles the needled boughs of the ponderosa pine trees with aggressive nudges, causing them to swagger in the wind, while the airy, whistling, howling sound it makes sends shivers coursing down my spine. I think about my poor nephew caught up in the forest like this. This night feels duplicitous, as though it has nefarious intent, harbouring its unearthly secrets beneath the dark shadows. Surely Evan must be very scared, I think. I know I would be, wearing his shoes. The forest is so intimidating at night, very threatening. I'm all too mindfully aware that what you cannot see is what is likely to be of the greatest concern. There could be anything ominous lurking in this gloomy, dusky penumbra. I marvel at the heady, buttery infusions of burnt caramel that linger in the woodgrove, as the sweet smell of the ponderosa pines is incredibly pronounced tonight. It would seem that beyond the wailing wind, everything is unnaturally quiet. Too quiet, I hasten to think. I'm bewildered by the fact that I haven't heard the single hoot of an owl, the chirp of a cricket or croak of a frog, or even the distant howl of a coyote. I then begin to call my nephew's name. "Evans! Evans! Evans! Evans, where are you?" I call, but I am greeted by the stiff, unyielding silence, and beyond the screaming, disembodied sounds of the wailing wind, that is all I hear. Undeterred, I try again, raising my voice higher above the wind so that it echoes through the woodgrove like a loud siren. My voice feels hoarse, my throat dry and scratchy, my heart choked with concern. I'm about to call out his name again. Then I see her. She makes her approach towards me on the earthen trail. She moves so gracefully through the trees, swinging her arms backwards and forwards in perfect seamless alignment with her powerful long legs. For a moment, I don't know what she is, but a generous shaft of moonlight brushes scantily across her back, but her golden eyes stare at me through the velvety blackness, and they are wide and big, but filled with such a soulful kindness that in no way is menacing. Then the light of my headlamp basks this creature generously in an effusive, warm yellow light. I audibly gasp, surely not. But a second look at this creature confirms my former instincts. I am staring at a Bigfoot. I can't believe it. I absorb the creature's profile like a hungry sea sponge, lapping up every physical detail for memory's sake. It's hard to fathom what I'm beholding, but I know that what I'm perceiving is no trick of my mind, or the product of an overactive imagination. I am cognizant of the fact that I should be afraid, but where is my fear? It has alienated, abandoned, and distanced itself from me, heedlessly running away from my grasp. It wants no part of this indelible experience that will surely change my life. I should feel intimidated, subdued, and overawed, should I not? I should feel conspicuously small, standing in front of this powerful, majestic, lofty creature. But all I feel is awe, wonderment, and intrigue. I am befuddled by how tall this creature is. She towers at 8 foot, easily weighs over 700 pounds, possesses a large pair of breasts that hang low upon her chest like empty sacks. She's covered in long, flowing dark hair, with an auburn hue. She has a gable-shaped head, a long human-like face that has a distinctly feminine appearance that is both handsome and endearing. I notice the creature is looking at me intensely, almost as if she's looking beyond the human scaffolding, right through to my joints, marrow and sinew. It's like she's looking through me like an X-ray machine. I discern she can see things that I cannot see, possibly my auric field. I notice her golden eyes are focused on my back. Her overlong arms are pointing at my back in such a way that I think she's seen a spider crawling on my shoulders. So I start swatting the insect. But the creature moves towards me, shaking her head. Before I know what to think, the creature flops my upper torso over her long arm. She reaches for my back, pushing it hard in a particular place. I hear this huge cracking sound, almost like a broken limb out of alignment being clicked back into its rightful slot. She then puts her hand over the area, rubbing it up and down my spine. I feel this delicious warm energy shooting up and down like electricity. Waves of warmth flood my body. To my immense surprise, the pain I initially felt has completely gone. I feel energized, as my former exhaustion has dissipated like the steam from a kettle. I maneuver my body in the position that causes me the most pain, but I feel no pain at all. I am dumbfounded. What did this creature do to drive my pain away so fast? For the first time in ages, I actually feel normal. I watch the creature as she moves away from me. She looks into my eyes with her golden gaze. Then I hear the words in my head. It's connected now. The pain and tiredness should go. I don't know what she means, but I nod, because my body is tingling all over with a warmth from her touch. The Bigfoot whistles, and then from behind the bush I see Evans cautiously approach. I realise that this remarkable Bigfoot female has been taking care of Evan in this dark, inhospitable place. She's taken him under her wings. She's watched over him, protected him. "Thank you for looking after him," I say to the Bigfoot, "and thank you for helping me with my back." She nods. She turns around and glides away until she has vanished from our sight. Evan is delighted to see me. He hugs me as tears trickle down his face like raindrops on a glass pane. "Please don't make me go back to live with Mummy. She's always hitting me. I hate her." "Of course you can come and stay with me," I say, putting my arms around my frightened nephew. We retreat together out of the forest. My sister is waiting for me outside of the forest. Her face floods with relief as she sees her son. I can see tears welling up in her eyes, but I push her away from Evan when she tries to hug him. "Don't touch him," I snap. "You've done enough, sis. I think you should take me and Evans back to the apartment for a couple of days, and then you and we need to talk." My sister does not argue with me. She prepares some clothes for her son. She drives me back to my apartment. I can tell she's afraid. "You're not going to shop me to the police, are you, sis? Please don't tell them anything. I told you, I didn't mean to hurt Evans. I just get angry sometimes." "I told you," I said. "I've got some thinking to do. I'll be in touch." The following morning when I awaken, I discover it's afternoon. I cannot believe I've had such a restful sleep, without any hiccups during the night, no disturbances. I slept soundly. But as I climb out of bed, I feel no twitches of pain. I'm desirous to almost scream with joy. It seems too good to be true. Then I remember the previous night, what the Bigfoot had done for my back. She had seen something that was out of alignment in my energy field or something. She had fixed it, and whatever it was, it had caused my insufferable pain for months and excessive exhaustion to just dissipate. I dashed quickly over to my wardrobe, hastily throwing on my jeans and sweater, and I enter Evan's room. I can see he's exhausted. The poor boy is passed out on the bed, dead to the world. So I leave him to sleep. But half an hour later, when he wakes up, he's very surprised when I announce that we're going for milkshakes, followed by a movie, and then a pizza at my favourite Italian restaurant. "But Auntie Evie, what about your pain?" "It's gone," I explain. "For some reason that Bigfoot in the woods did something to my back. She could see something was wrong in my energy field. I felt this big click, and then this infusion of warmth and electricity, and the pain just melted away like butter, and since then it hasn't come back. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed while I feel this good, and hope and pray it never ever comes back. But while I feel like this, let's go and enjoy ourselves, shall we? Yay! 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 Says Evans. After Evan is tucked into his second chocolate milkshake, he tells me everything that happened that night, without any restraint. Evan's story. I was sitting in the sitting room playing with my Xbox. I can hear Mum on her cell. She's getting irate with someone at her office. It's not unusual for her, as she's always losing her rag. But on this particular evening it is worse than usual. She's really livid. I can always tell this because her neck goes red and her nostrils start to flare. She screams down the cell at her assistant. "How can you be such an idiot, Elaine? You spell Mr. Van Ossington. You've spelt it wrong. What were you thinking, girl? It's not 2 O's, it's 1. Are you a complete, total and utter moron? You're my assistant manager, for goodness sake. I am supposed to be able to rely on you to do things correctly, Elaine, but I can see that's far too much to ask of you. You know how bad this makes me look? You were supposed to proofread everything before you sent it off to the printers. I relied on you for that. Are your brains in your knickers, or are they in your pocket? That's what I want to know, because they're certainly not between your ears, where they should be. This is your fault, Elaine. You must phone the company at once and take responsibility for the mistake, because it's not mine." "Of course I didn't tell you that Mr. Ossington had 2 O's in his name. Are you mad? You can't put this one on me, girl, or there'll be hell to pay." She pauses for a moment. "Well, you tell him he'll have to wait 3 days owing to your blunder. We can't do reprints sooner than that. You apologise and take responsibility." She slams down the phone, looking furious. "Bitch," she screams. "Bitch! I knew I couldn't trust her to get a damn thing right. Why are people so bloody stupid? Mummy? What is it, Evan? Can you not see I'm busy?" "I'm hungry, Mummy. I'm really hungry. My stomach is rumbling." I can see she looks angry. She grabs me by my shoulders and squeezes them hard as she shakes me. "You're hungry, are you, Evans? Can you not see I've got more important things to do than worry about your dinner? You've got legs, haven't you? Why don't you use them?" I nod. "Well then get off your fat, lazy backside and make yourself something to eat. I'm not your servant, am I?" I go into the kitchen to prepare myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then Mum comes into the kitchen. She's speaking to Elaine on the cell again, strutting around the kitchen angrily. "Are you not listening, Elaine? I've told you this 1,000 times. Tell the bloody client that the soonest that we can complete the printing is in 3 days' time. We can't work faster than that. I told you, 3 days. Or are you completely harebrained?" She quickly switches the phone off. Then she gasps when she sees I've spilt peanut butter and jelly over the granite surfaces of our kitchen. She runs towards me, shaking me fiercely. "Look at the bloody mess, Evans! You've spilt peanut butter and sticky jelly all over the place. Can't you do anything right? Are you a complete moron?" She shakes me hard, belligerently throws my sandwiches against the kitchen wall in her frustration. Jam and peanut butter are dribbling down the wall, while the dismembered pieces of bread are lying on the floor, pulverised by their violent journey to the ground. "There you are! Clean up the mess now, will you, Evan, and throw those sandwiches in the bin." "No," I said defiantly. "You threw the sandwich at the wall, not me. I won't clean that mess up. I'll clean up the jelly on the granite surfaces, but you caused the mess on the wall. It's your fault." Mum becomes incandescent. Her face reddens. She dashes towards me and beats me with her fists. "I'm your mother, Evan. You don't talk to me like that, do you hear me? You do what I tell you to do." She slaps me violently hard across the face. It really stings. I run as quickly as I can to the front door, open it and dash out of the farmhouse as fast as I can, with Mummy screaming for me to come back. "Come back, Evan! Come back! Get back right here now, you brat, or you'll be in big trouble. Do you understand?" I know she can't be trusted. She's in a truculent mood, so I run and hide in the woodgrove. The tears are pouring down my face. I just know that I'd rather stay out here in this dark forest all night than be with my mother. She scares me when she's angry, and when she's like this, she lashes out at me so hard. On one occasion, she gave me a black eye. I had to pretend I walked into the door by mistake. I know in the morning my mother will have calmed down significantly. I feel hungry and tired, but I decided I'm better off hanging around in the woods, because my mother can't hurt me here. The woodgrove is dark. I can barely see my hands before my face, but I don't care about that. It's scary because I can't see where I'm going. But if I stick to the path, I find the moonlight that trickles through the canopy helps me to see the path ahead of me more clearly. But all the surrounding vegetation is very black. I can barely distinguish one plant from another. I hear my mother screaming my name. Her voice begins to sound panicky, but I'm not bothered about that. "Evan, please come back!" But I ignore her desperate pleas. I find a hiding spot under a little bush. I curl up into a round ball and fall asleep. I'm desperately tired. I can barely keep my eyes open. Sleep overtakes me. It's chilly in the forest, but I'm so tired, none of that matters. After a while, my mother's frantic calls begin to dissipate. I wake up to find myself in the warm arms of a hairy creature. I'm about to scream in horror, but as I look up into this human-like face with large golden eyes that are like liquid pools of love, I immediately feel safe in her charge. I can hear her voice soothing me in my mind. "I'm not here to hurt you. You go back to sleep. I'll watch over you and keep you lovely and warm." She then senses I'm hungry. She goes off for a moment, coming back with a basket filled with berries. I eat them all the while she watches me. The fruit is deliciously sweet. It fills me up nicely. I know at once she's a Bigfoot. I've seen programs and documentaries about them before, but most of the time they say horrible things about them. But they can't be true, because this lady Bigfoot is ever so nice. She genuinely cares for me. I can feel her matriarch-like tenderness. I go and lie in her arms. She rocks me to sleep, while she hums some strange song in a language I'm not familiar with. I think she's singing to me, but her voice is soothing. It hits all the low notes. A while later the Bigfoot pokes me gently to wake me up. That's when I hear your voice calling me. The Bigfoot appears to read my mind. She can tell I'm very pleased to hear your voice. I say in my own head, "That's my aunt," but she's in far too much pain to come and get me. How can it be her? It would hurt her body to leave the house, so why is she here? The Bigfoot is looking at me. I know she's reading my thoughts. I hear her say in my mind, "I'll whistle if it's safe for you to come out. You stay where you are." And a little while later she whistles, and then I come out. "I was so pleased to see you, Aunt Evie. Please don't make me go back and live with my mother again. Please, can I stay with you?" he begged. "I'll see what I can do," I said. "Me and your mother need to have words together. I'll arrange for her to come over to the apartment for a chat." When my sister arrived at the apartment the following evening, she was not full of her normal condescending jabs. If I'd known any better, I would say she looked quite scared. "You know why you're here, sis," I said. She nodded sheepishly. "Look, Evie, it'll never ever happen again, I promise you. I'll never so much as lay a finger on my son again." "Liar," says Evan. "You always hurt me, Mummy. You'll never ever stop. I want to stay here with Evie. I hate you." "I'm sorry, Evan. I didn't mean to do what I did. I will never lay a finger on you again, I promise." "I don't believe you, Mummy." "Let's not go there, Roberta," I say. "You've clearly got a problem with anger. You need help. It's not normal to beat up your own child. If Evan continues to live with you, I am going to have to report the bruises to the authorities. It's my moral duty." "Sis, if you do that, it'll ruin my reputation. I'll get into trouble with the police. And if my boss hears about that, bang goes my career." "You could always let him move in with me," I suggest, "and have supervised visits. I don't mind that." To cut a long story short, I was fortunate to give my nephew Evan a full childhood. A miracle happened in the woodgrove that night, after that Bigfoot performed some strange, miraculous manoeuvre on my back, clicking something into place, laying healing hands on me, because my chronic fatigue syndrome vanished and never reoccurred. I was able to regain a full life again, of which I am heartily grateful for. You would think I would rush back to my old career, but not so. I didn't want to, given that Evan required my undivided attention. He deserved to have a full childhood. So I decided to run my own cosmetic business online. I wish I could say my sister has changed over the years, but she has not. After a while, she stopped even requesting to see her son. She completely lost interest in him. Evan began calling me Mum. Roberta is still going through men faster than candy drops, and lives a miserable, solitary life, never understanding that it's her sharp tongue that drives people far away from her. But any mean words she throws my way are always like water off a duck's back, as I will never allow them to get me down. I think some people are just intent on being horrible, but as far as Evan is concerned, he no longer wants to be acquainted with his mother again. But I am ever grateful for a night in the woodgrove that changed my life, bringing me both healing and joy. So there you are. That's my story. Wow, what an incredible story. Until next time, goodbye and good night.